It's okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another.
Oh no,
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of
that
The
was
Left
so
Wing.
dramatic.
The FBI just got TJ, guys. They finally got him.
Oh man.
Uh,
Well, we can laugh about it at least for now, right?
that
How are
was
you?
that was very funny. Yeah, I'm doing good, Natalie. As we wait for TJ to get back on, that he just got raptured. Uh,
That would be funny if he did, of all people.
of all people. Oh God, the rapture is like one of those things that everyone likes to talk about because everyone looks forward to it. All the people who
Yes.
think they're going to be raptured, they're like, "Yes, take me now," and
We thought
everyone
maybe
else is
that's what
like,
happened to you, John or TJ, that you'd been
Oh
raptured.
well, well, the rapture did happen. I would be first in line. I am one of God's favorites. No question about
Clearly.
that.
Clearly.
I was saying TJ that like everyone loves the rapture and talking about it because everyone who like believes in the rapture, they want to be raptured, and everyone else is like, "I want you to be raptured." That leave us alone. We're good here.
Please
You, you
let us
guys,
be.
you guys remember a couple weeks ago when the rapture was a big topic of discussion online? I don't
Or
know if you, I don't know if we ever talked about it, John, but I saw a lot of videos of people saying, "Can you believe that folks believe they're going to be raptured on Tuesday or something? They're selling their stuff and all that." Folks, that didn't happen. I mean, it was. I've never seen a more obvious, just action for clicks. So like there have been a couple people online who said, "I sold my house for the rapture." No, you didn't. There's a reason you're not seeing news reports of people who are destitute now. There are 200 million Christians in this country. Like, you
Yeah.
can't look around anywhere without running across Christian. I guarantee none of you listening personally know someone who sold their stuff because the rapture was coming. You don't even know anyone who personally knows anyone who sold their stuff because the rapture is coming. It was obvious, but now I think it makes us look ridiculous because I guarantee a few months or a few years from now, people are going to be saying, "Remember when all those folks were selling their stuff because of the rapture?" And like, yeah, that didn't happen, bro. You just got burned by an obvious, content creator clip farm. I know what clip farming looks like, and it looks like that rap thing that happened. So yeah, I mean, again, I know people believe ridiculous stuff. That this has happened before, where people sold their possessions. Like, why you would sell them is kind of strange too. What good is the money to you? But just because people believe in something ridiculous like the rapture doesn't mean that there's this mass hysteria all around the country of people believing it. It's kind of thing. Did you see that, John?
yeah, no, I saw it. It's one of those things I just don't engage with because why bother? Like as you said, no one's actually taking this seriously, and the few people who are, I get like I'm sure there's always one crazy person who believes anything. It's like
Look,
there's always one out there, but I didn't think this was this mass epidemic. Like I kept seeing it, and I was like, this is manufactured. I feel the same way about Hassan's dog. I'm like, there's no way this many people actually care about Hassan's dog. Like, this is either just Hassan haters, like seeing something to attack, or like some sort of funded campaign against Hassan. I like that. All of those things, those like story of the week shit. They're nothing. I swear
yeah,
it's all bots.
Well,
people respond. Oh, sorry, Natalie. Real quick, people respond with that a lot. That, well, I'm sure there's one. I'd love to see one. If someone could show me literally one example of someone selling all of their possessions because they thought the raptors happened 2 weeks ago, I'd love to see it. You're not going to find it. But sorry, Natalie, we're going to say
no, not at all. I love the passion.
yes.
No, you had said it was like the story of the week, but I think the story of the week was the two of you meeting in person for the first time. That's the story I wanted to start with. That is the like headline for today. Yeah, John, you got married. That's great. But you guys got to meet in person at the wedding. I want to hear all about it. I want to hear about everything. And of course, congratulations, John.
Yeah,
Obviously.
it's the big story the lamestream news media won't cover. They we should have had the front page of the New York Times, but alas, here we are. No, it was great meeting TJ. We did not get to spend. We were supposed to like meet up Saturday night as well, and that just didn't end up happening. But yeah, it was great to see him. He's way taller than me. It's very funny. We didn't get any pictures like on cell phone cameras, so we're waiting for the professional photographer to send us the pictures to post for content. Unfortunately, I wasn't thinking of content in that moment. I guess I'm not married to the game anymore. You might.
Yeah, the left wing on the left coast was a big time event. It was really fun, and I gotta
TJ, how did we
say,
not think of that beforehand?
yeah, I know, right? I know, right? But I will say, all jokes aside, it might have been the best wedding I've ever attended. It was an incredible event. Not only was the location like on a boat in the Gulf absolutely spectacular. I was worried that morning because that morning was really overcast and kind of drizzly. I said, "Oh, I hope." And the wedding turned out like the sun was
TJ, you
out.
were worried.
Oh my God, yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, and it was just gorgeous. Natalie, I shit you not, I will swear on a stack of Bibles. John, I don't even know if you saw this, but after John and Yolani
Yep.
exchanged their vows, dolphins jumped out of the water. Like 2 minutes afterward, dolphins started jumping right outside the boat. It was incredible. Like God has blessed this union, if He has blessed any of them. And the speeches from everyone were fantastic. And Natalie, you should have seen John. He was in rare form. Like this is actually. I started thinking like very rarely does the groom steal the show at a wedding, but I was like, if it was gonna happen, like John grabbed the microphone any chance he could, and of course, dazzled everyone. But he had some strong competition. Everyone who picked up the microphone, everyone in John's family, John's friends, Yolani, her family, her friends, were all excellent in their presentations, their speeches. The boat was it was small enough that everyone could crowd like on the dance floor and everything, but large enough to get to meet all the attendees. The table I sat at, my girlfriend was talking to two people there who she said had amazing stories. She actually got mad at John. It's like, John, well, you had these two people on the show. They're incredible. They got amazing stories. And so I don't know. It was a great event. I'm glad you asked now because I had a hell of a time.
That's awesome. No, I first of all, I love love. I love weddings, and I'm so glad that it all worked out and it was a beautiful event. But it's just so cool to think that like you guys got to actually be together in real life because I was telling John, it's like you've been virtual pen pals for a long time now. So that's very cool. And I'm really glad that you had a lot of fun. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Especially in the middle of the hellscape that we are living in. I think events like weddings, meeting friends that are from out of town, like these things coming together, celebrating life and love. It seems cheesy, but honestly, I think it's so necessary because it's such an affirmation of remembering why we are all supposed to be here. So for that reason alone, it's exciting, but I'm really glad that you guys had a good time.
I've said it before on the show, and I'll say it again. It's like when you're on an airplane and they tell you put your mask on first so you can help others. Sometimes you gotta find
Yes, of course.
energy and a reason to keep going forward, and it's okay to take a break. Although when I got back, because I like didn't post or didn't follow things for like 3 straight days, and oh my God, when I got back into it, it was like putting on a hazmat suit and just like trudging through the sludge.
Oh yeah.
It not pleasant, but I'm back now. I'm all the way into it. I don't even remember what happened at the wedding. But Colby with a comment here. My favorite part of finding out John was getting married was TJ taking 3 selfies of himself and his girlfriend and nothing else.
Listen. That is somewhat unfair. Okay, that is somewhat unfair because before the wedding started, the MC. By the way, Natalie, John had a lady preacher officiate the wedding, so he's a real liberal. This is a real move right there. Yeah, and so she said that John and Yanni would like this to be a cell phone free wedding. So if you want a picture of the couple, go ahead and do it now. I did get like a video, but it's like over people's heads and it's all shaky. They look like garbage, but yeah, I know it didn't look good. And then I thought they meant no. Or actually, John, you can clarify this. Did you want no weddings for the duration of the event, or no weddings just for the ceremony? Because I hid my phone. All the pictures I took were early before it actually started. Did you want the phones put away the entire time?
Yeah, no. The instructions again, TJ. You've been great at following instructions for this wedding because like he was sent an email of, hey, presents, don't bring them on the boat. We don't have space for them on the boat. He hands me a fucking gift bag. Like the moment I go on there, I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. But no, TJ, it was just for the ceremony.
Yeah,
you could have had your phone out the whole time.
I could because I could have got a picture then. But also, John and I had planned to hang the next day because I was staying in San Diego with my family. But the family wanted to hang out and everything. And in San Diego, I was like an hour and 15 minutes away from where Jon was, and we had stayed out later than I thought. And I had to get up at 3 to fly out the next morning. I just didn't have time to make it over there. So, but we plan to go to Philadelphia, apparently sometime, and hang out and see Jon there. So we'll see. But
we should do a live show. Whether it's on a Thursday or not, we should do a live show when we're together.
Yeah, that was a little bit unfair.
I think you have to.
Natalie, you're not too far away.
I know. I was going to say, listen.
We can recreate the entire thing here. Yeah. But it's I was gonna say it's good to be back in the game. I don't know if it's good, but it's what we do, right? It's like I too was like Jon. It's like, oh yeah, everything's a giant shit show, just like I remember. Yeah. So we're back at it. So let's go.
Yeah, it is kind of weird how I feel like we're all in a little bit of a Groundhog Day, because it at least for me, it just feels like the news cycle is so damn depressing and frustrating and maddening that it's like I wake up and I'm like, what am I going to see today? And then I go to bed. What am I going to see tomorrow? And it's like that same energy. Whereas imagine a world not that long ago where you didn't have to think of this news cycle every day. Like pre-Trump, before he was in our government ether, it was like, this was not a thing we were doing. And I feel bad for people, especially younger people who are coming up, that it's like, they kind of are growing up in this environment where they think this is the norm. And it's like, oh God, it's not. It used to not be like this. But I think that's the most alarming part, is just how it's kind of changing our nervous systems,
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember when we were unified in our thoughts that, hey, Jeffrey Epstein is bad, and maybe
Nazis were bad.
And Nazis were bad. Like anyone defending this should be immediately thought of with derision, suspicion, and contempt. And now we have an entire political party, at least in office, that is like, no, actually, we need to cover up for these guys. I saw a clip with Joe Rogan today. What was he, the guy? Duncan Trussell. And they were talking about the government shutdown and Epstein and all that. And if you'll permit me, I want to share this clip because it's good banter material right here. I like how I announce it's good banter material before it actually happens. Like, it's up to me. But all right, so
everybody, setting it
yeah,
up.
exactly. So this is Joe Rogan and Duncan Trussell talking about the government shutdown and the fact that, the Jeffrey Epstein situation, the Epstein files not being released in the vote that happened in Congress. So let's check this out, or in the Senate. Let's check it out.
Voted 51-49 to defeat an amendment that would have forced the Department of Justice to release all files related to Jeffrey Epstein. The vote was largely along party lines, with 2 Republicans joining all Democrats in supporting the amendment.
Oh, wait, not both sides. It was the Republicans voting against this shit.
It says 2 Republicans joining the Democrats in supporting the amendment to defeat it. So why are the Democrats interested in defeating it?
Okay, so this is interesting. I want to talk about this right quick. That Joe Rogan just made a mistake where he said that the Democrats are the ones who are trying to hide the Epstein files. He said, okay, so he misread the form. By the way, this just shows how little.
That? TJ?
I don't know. It shows you how little attention Joe Rogan pays to this, that he can actually say this. And then Duncan Trussell lets him know in the clip later on where he says, "Oh no, it's the other way around." But I want to point or highlight that question, is that Joe Rogan's like, why would the Democrats do this? Because what Joe Rogan does when he finds out it was actually the Republicans who were doing it.
Why are the Democrats interested in defeating it?
Well, let's ask. No, I think this is saying that the Democrats want it to come out and the Republicans don't.
Okay.
And party lines. Let's ask Perplexity, why won't they release the?
So I was gonna. There's Eric Swalwell, who's I guess.
I read it wrong. read it wrong. No. Okay. So the Democrats were not. The Democrats were pushing this. The Republicans fought against it. Okay, I fucked that up. So 51-49 is crazy. So they just voted along party line. So they're probably told to do this.
Right. So what the fuck's in there, man?
Well, then they've been, not only is the government shut down right now, I think that might affect it some, but they're at recess, Congress is. And so Eric Swalwell said this stuff today. Again, it might not be true, but.
It's coming to an end, guys. I've spoken to a lot of House Republicans this week, and they confided that Trump's movement support is fading, as one told me the Epstein bomb is about to drop, and no one wants to defend a pedo protector. It's just a matter of time, Swalwell said in a thread. One Republican just texted me that if there's a discharge vote on Epstein, they expect a jailbreak of over 100 members. Trump will go nuts, he added.
So they said, this further goes on to say that if they get back, that this is the first thing on the dock, and that's sort of what's holding them back in recess right here.
Wow. We are watching wild history in real time.
Dude.
Voted.
All right, that's it. It doesn't get. That wasn't a deceptively edited clip or anything like that. All he does is say, "Wow, this is some strange times we're having here. I can't believe that the world is like that." He never once asked, "Wait, why are the Republicans trying to hide this?" It doesn't come up. He was very interested in the Epstein files being blocked when he thought the Democrats were doing it, but once he found out the Republicans are doing it, it's just wow, crazy time. What did you think, Natalie? And had you seen that video?
Fuck no, I didn't see that video. I hate Joe Rogan, okay? I'm sorry. I have disliked his takes for, I don't know, years and years and years now. I've never understood the appeal to him at all. I don't understand. Watching this clip, I think I lost whatever functioning brain cells I might have had left after this week. Why, you guys? Does he still have so much sway over so many men, in particular in this country, when the dude can't even read? He can't formulate a thought. I mean, how do you not know which side of the aisle has been supportive or not supportive of releasing the Epstein files? This hasn't just been a news story. This is a news phenomena. This is like, you can't look at anything online without seeing this. So to me, this is willful ignorance. This is him trying to hold on to whatever sliver of credibility that he had left, thinking of all of these times where he was defending the Republicans. Because if he admits now, oh, maybe I was wrong about this, maybe I shouldn't have been supporting Trump, the whole tapestry, all you got to do is pull that thread. So this is an embarrassment to me that he can't acknowledge what is going on, but it's just showing you exactly who he is and who he's always been, which is a terrible human being.
Yeah, I used to, like, Natalie, I haven't always hated Joe. In fact, before...
Oh, here we go.
I never listened to the podcast. The podcast has always...
Did you like him on Fear Factor when he hosted Fear Factor and he would have people eat crickets? Is that...
Natalie, I'll pretend that I was...
John doesn't remember that. John doesn't.
Old enough to watch Fear Factor when it was coming out, just for your sake. No. So, I mean... I never watched the podcast. So the podcast is just too fucking long. That was my if his podcasts were like an hour long, I probably would have put them on, previously in my life. I generally like, I'm into martial arts. I'm into a lot of his interests, and so I did generally like him up until the pandemic, which just cooked his fucking brain. Like, COVID cooked him and sent him down this right-wing rabbit hole. He's always been like a conspiracy theory guy, but he really dug into the shit and became insufferable around COVID. And this is my thing. I have a lot of sympathy for Joe Rogan, less so, but the Joe Rogan types of the world. The people who are fans of Joe, the people who they're generally curious about shit, but don't really spend much time looking into it, but have a curiosity and are kind of like peeking at, hey, what's going on over here? Let's talk about this for a minute. There's a lot of them, and that's one of the people I've said a million times that Bernie was so successful with. He attracting those types of sort of curious, but would have never called themselves political types of people who kind of look at both parties and go, well, fuck this shit. Everything's broken. And Joe Rogan was one of those types, but you really can't say that anymore with Joe. Like I have no respect for Joe Rogan. He's done this multiple times now where it's like, oh, I'm going to criticize the Democrats for something. Oh, it was actually the Republicans? Okay, I'm going to be quiet now. Like, he's clearly, I don't know if it bought off or just drank too much Kool-Aid, but like, that's just ridiculous. Especially something that, yeah, you're right. How have you not heard of this, Joe? Like, come on. Like, again, I don't expect high-level, in-depth reporting from Joe Rogan, but I expect him to know 8 months into the Trump presidency, which group is blocking the release of the Epstein files. Like, that's a pretty fucking big one.
I want to, before I go into this, I want to break some terrible news to Natalie and I that Fear Factor was on the air 2001 to 2006. So yeah, John definitely would not have gotten a chance to watch that show. That is some earth-shattering information right there. But but all right. So the thing with Rogan here, I'll go even farther than John. I did like Joe Rogan's podcast years ago. I did like years ago. I don't know. I enjoyed the 3 hour like long form discussion. I thought Joe Rogan had on some really fascinating guests every now and again. Because here's the thing with Joe Rogan, is like he would talk about comedy, he would talk about show business, and he would talk to weird people. I mean, he would have folks on. It's like, this person is the world's most successful beekeeper. Talk to him for 3 hours and get really into the industry here. And Joe Rogan wanted to, like, he wasn't trying to put a message on him. He was like, hey, I'm a good interviewer. I'm very curious, like John said, which a lot of folks are. And I don't know, I found it to be a very entertaining show. And he would sprinkle it every now and then with, what's that guy's name? Graham Hancock, where he would step up and say that, yeah, I think that the ancient Spartans actually discovered nuclear energy. Like, absolutely absurd shit, just going on about this stuff. But now that seems to be most of his. It's insane conspiracy theories and political messaging. Like that clip I watched today, it was 90% politics, and he's not good at politics. And so, but then again, most people aren't either. So I see what John is saying, that if you just have a passing knowledge of random topics here and there, and you're an older Gen Xer or boomer or something like that, or even younger guy, and you don't really think much about policy, you just think, I wish things were back to normal. Yeah, I see how Joe Rogan appeals to you, because it's not a politics show, but in essence, it happens to be one. So yeah,
we had a good comment, TJ, from Chris, and he said Joe Rogan makes sense if he worked 70 hours a week in a construction and just talked about shit on the job. Like, yeah, that's kind of like the thing that, and that's a lot of people, like that. I don't actually think up until recently Joe Rogan has ever had ill intent. He always was like, I'm a dumbass, and that kind of like one of the same reasons as much as Alec Jones is way worse and a dickhead, the fact that he at least admits he's a dumbass makes me have a little bit more, give him a little bit more charity than I would the Ben Shapiro's of the world, But yeah, no, it is what it is. And I don't know how that sector is going to react, because the Epstein files are going to be released. It is a matter of time, whether it's when we get back and they're able to force this vote, which we have the votes in the House to do so now. I'm sure they will stall that out for as long as humanly possible, but it's going to happen. If it's after the midterms and we have more vote, I don't know when it is. It's going to happen. And I don't know what happens to that sector of society when that bomb drops, because Rogan's clearly bought off, but a lot of his audience isn't necessarily like dyed in the wool MAGA Republicans. A lot of them are like him, who like kind of are independents, kind of like fuck both parties. And depending on what's in that fucking case files, like it could be a seismic shift.
Yeah, I think too, there were so many conspiratorial groups that were that kind of gotten pulled into the MAGA umbrella, including QAnon, and we don't really talk about them anymore. But so much of this human trafficking, Pizzagate, all of that conspiratorial thing was so wrapped up in that identity. And a lot of them, I think, saw Trump as the person that was going to, release this information, make it known. And now the fact that it's obviously very clear that he has some very tight connections to what was going on that island, I think that has sort of disrupted the entire foundation of MAGA, because MAGA is comprised of not just diehard Trumpers, but also conspiratorial groups that latched on to him and to this particular thing. And this was the reason that these people voted for him, thinking he was going to release these files. So I think it could actually splinter their entire political party in a way that I don't think people were really understanding or realizing, because we don't talk about a lot of those conspiratorial groups as a part of MAGA. We just kind of talk about it more as a collective, but there's a lot of subsets there. And part of those subsets were these people that do really engage with conspiracy theory. But as we now know, there wasn't really that much conspiracy theory around the fact that this island existed and Epstein there's a list and there's a lot of probably world leaders on it. And I think that's the bigger bomb here. It's not going to just be the Americans that we're kind of anticipating that were connected to this, but the international community. And I think that's why there is so much more pushback. And, I think that's part of the reason that, that there is going to be so much conflict ahead of us within that political party itself, because they're going to have to look in the mirror in a way they haven't had to before. It's going to be devastating for them, I think.
Natalie, I'd like to ask you, because Jon and I have a disagreement here, where he said that the Epstein files will eventually be released. I don't think they ever will. What do you think?
I think they will be heavily, heavily edited and redacted. I do not think we're going to see the truth. I really don't. And I think it's because there are too many powerful people in the world on that list. I agree with you more, TJ. Jon, I appreciate the optimism. I just don't see how we're ever going to see that full list or understand what was really going on or scratch below that surface. I think there was a lot more than just trafficking going on with this collective group of people. I don't think we realize sort of the depravity of the uber wealthy and powerful, the dynasties of this country. I just think it has much deeper and farther reaching tentacles than we realize. And they're not going to just give that up over for public interest. They're just not going to do it. So I would be shocked if we really see something true beyond maybe little nuggets. Here's a little crumb. And maybe they'll give Trump up. Maybe that will be the thing, because he's totally political kryptonite at this point. And I think the writing's on the wall for him. I think it's very clear that he's unwell. And I think they're going to be like, screw him anyway. So maybe they'll give him up, but I don't think the rest of them are going to go down so easily.
See, I think that you kind of have three options. You kind of added a third one here, where they release everything. So, here are all the perverts who have been on the island. I don't think that's going to happen. You could also have, maybe they'll throw a sacrificial lamb or two out. I don't think that can happen either, because that person knows stuff too. Because if they could have done that, they would have already tried it. Or the third option is giving out Trump. Jon and I have talked about that one. They might try that, because honestly, at this point, the Republicans, you got to hold on a second. Hold on, I'll be right back.
So as TJ would say, before the FBI got him again. No. So my thing, Natalie, and the giving up Trump thing does make sense, because my entire thing with this is, before this most recent sequence of events, I kind of agreed with you. I was like, this shit ain't ever coming out. And if Trump had never became president, I don't think it ever would have.
Agreed.
But the thing is, I've never seen Trump play defense this aggressively. His entire MO, the entire MO of the MAGA movement, of most fascist movements in history, probably all, is always play offense, never play defense. If you ask them, you can go through whatever fucking thing you want right now. Any question, any legitimate, substantive question that is critical of the administration, they immediately just point fingers. What about this? What about this? You're fake news. Fuck you. Like that. That is the response every time they attack.
Right.
Then they're playing defense because they have there's nothing. What are they going to attack? People who want to out pedophiles? Like they can't attack. And so they're just playing defense. They're kicking this can down the road, and in the process, taking severe political damage. The entire Republican Party is taking severe political damage. They are putting their name on votes against releasing information about the biggest pedophile ring in the fucking history of our country.
Totally.
There's no way they would be doing that if the shit in there wasn't catastrophic. And so that's why I say, you might be right. Maybe they just give up Trump somehow. But like, again, that he would give up you think Trump's going down with the ship, Natalie? I don't think he is. That doesn't sound like Trump to me. So that's why I say, as much as just like my entire life, this kind of shit, this kind of high level bombardment has never really happened. I mean, you can look at the Panama Files, I guess, but they were able to kind of keep that fucking under wraps. And not under wraps, so like they made it a no story. There's no making this a no story. Like the Panama Files, those were boring. This is exciting.
Right.
I just don't see any scenario in which this just goes away, because people at this point, we're too far down the road where we can just ignore this anymore. And there's been too many important people, big people, who have put their names on this and said, we're getting these fucking files. I just don't see a world where they're able to play it off. And yeah, maybe it's just super redacted and they try to treat it like a nothing burger, but no one's really going to believe that. People are still going to want blood.
Here's the thing, though. I don't understand why it's even necessary to release the files, because we have so many women that have come forward at this point and have said all of these things that have happened and that he has been involved in all of these things. And I think it's also just so offensive that, once again, we can't believe a woman, let alone dozens of women. And the fact that they flew that, I think it was that helicopter overhead when those women were giving that press conference about their experiences as an intimidation factor is such an obvious, like, these women are obviously telling you the truth because they're trying to scare them. It's just so disgusting to me, the level of pleading for our humanity that always has to happen when something like this comes about. And it upset me when those women had to stand there and speak about their experience, because they should not have had to do that. They should have not had to prove that they had this experience over and over and over again, when we have so much evidence that Trump has engaged in this kind of behavior before. And so for me, it's just like, we already know, like, and we already know that we probably know a lot of the other people that are on that list that were there, like Bill Clinton, for example. And I always find it funny whenever I bring his name up and people are like, well, he's a Democrat. I'm surprised you're saying this about a Democrat. Why are you surprised? Like, I'm not in a cult. Like, we should be outing all the pedophiles. I don't care what political party they are attached to. I find that really creepy and weird too, this level of tribalism that we're experiencing over something as sick and demented as pedophilia. So that's just the other part of this too.
But that's the thing, that, like, again, from the get-go, from before he was president, we had the Bush tape, the Access Hollywood tape, where he's bragging about sexually assaulting women. And what did he do? He played offense. He's like, yeah, no, I beautiful women, they're all around me. I'm just the man, and it worked. He was not I always forget what the word is. We're not going to say convicted because that's not actually true, but he was deemed liable.
Liable.
Yeah, there's a word for that, but he's deemed liable of sexual assault of E. Jean Carroll. Played offense. He's not playing offense here, Natalie. Like that's why I'm like, no, there's real fucking shit here. You're right. It sucks. It should have been, in a sane world, as soon as that Access Hollywood tape came out, oh shit, this guy gropes women against their will. We're not going to vote for him for president. Any sane world, that would have happened. Not the world we live in. You're right. Really sucks. However, we do live in the world where that didn't matter, and Trump didn't act like it mattered, and it didn't end up mattering, and Trump is acting like this fucking matters more than anything in the history of the world to him. So whatever's there, it must be so bad. That's why I'm saying the tease has been made, even if there's not any incriminating evidence of anything in those. I just personally don't believe that, because then he would just release them. So, like, even if it's just like a middle ground, he would release them and play offense. He's hiding them. So there got to be something in there, and until we get it, it's never going to stop. The pressure is never going to stop until something comes out that satisfies the amount of defense these guys have played to protect it.
So I don't know if Jon said it while I was out, but what I was going to say about this with Trump, and if they say, okay, we got all this dirt on Trump that, his name is littered throughout the entire file, and then they release it, I don't know how much it will hurt them with Republicans, because I've seen no evidence that they will believe any of it's true. I genuinely believe that. I think that, like, when this first happened with Trump and the letter that he wrote, the birthday card for Jeffrey Epstein, his and he was trying to block it and everything, it turns true, his approval rating went up. It didn't go down, it went up. Republicans loved him even more. What I said in the show is that if they came out with, original handwritten notes from Jeffrey Epstein, yes, Donald Trump was on the island, He committed sexual acts A, B, and C. Here's video evidence. We'd never be able to see the evidence. It'd be a crime for you to look at it. I mean, like if any of that stuff, even if it was like plain face, obvious as day, solid documentation, no one refutes. They're going to say it was AI. They was going to say it's fake. They're going to say it's a deep state hit. Why wouldn't they? They've said it for everything else. Even with that card he wrote for Epstein, you have an entire book of the Epstein birthday book that was rather optimistically named The First 50 Years, hilarious, and that all of his friends, it's like, hey, wrote these cards for him, except that one. That one from Trump is fake. That one is actually not real. And they go with it. They think it's a legitimate argument. So yeah, I don't think there's anything that can come out. Now, granted, the rest of the population will say, oh yeah, that's that might be bad, but it wouldn't matter if he has support from Republicans. I don't know. I just don't see a way they can do this. I'm interested to see how it plays out because even like what John said too, public pressure is so great that you think they have to do something, but I don't know. I'm not terribly convinced.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I hear both of you. I just feel like he said it best many years ago when he said, I could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and they'd still love me. It was something to that effect. I think what we're witnessing is just, this is a cult. This is a cult. Like there's, and I don't use that word lightly. I'm not throwing that word around, but this is exactly what this behavior is from people. And he is their leader. And until something drastic happens to him, I don't really see them loosening their grip. I was watching this documentary. I love cults, by the way. I love learning about them because I'm like, someday I aspire to be a cult leader. So I would like to understand how this works.
We all do, Natalie. That's every content creator. We yes. Deep down cult leader.
But in all seriousness, I was watching this one about this sector of Mormons in Utah, and their leader is currently in prison for pedophilia and for money laundering and all of these terrible things. And he's giving mass over the phone to his church still. They're still funding him. They're still giving him money. That's how tight of a grip this brainwashing has on people. So even if Trump goes to jail, which is a pipe dream because he has immunity, right? But even if he were to do that, they would be standing outside his security, his maximum security prison for how many hours a day, waiting for the savior to arise. Like, I think the only way the cult gets out of this is at the end of his life. And at that point, that's when I think the Republican Party is going to actually be in shambles, because J.D. Vance, Stephen Miller, all these other creepy psycho weirdos that are sort of in the shadow government behind him, none of them have any interest or allure or skill set that can, I think, pull off the great con like Donald Trump did. And I don't know where they go. They're not really preparing for what happens after this, because someday he is going to pass.
Great, Natalie. TJ, what do you got pulling up there?
Well, I was going to pull up Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about this. We were talking about Republicans and their thoughts on this. Natalie, was that documentary about Warren Jeffs by any chance?
Yes.
The Mormon? Okay, yeah. He's a fascinating figure and everything.
Yes.
But, just curious. But all right, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene was on, what is this, CNN, talking about the shutdown and Epstein, seeing what some Republicans think. She's, well, let's see what she's got to say.
Is the Jeffrey Epstein files, wanting to release those. I know Democrats have also been calling for that, a few other Republicans as well. The Democrats are accusing Speaker Johnson of delaying the swearing in of Arizona's Democratic Congresswoman-elect because she would give the last vote needed to release those Epstein files. I'm wondering, the Speaker, for his part, he has denied that. He said it's because of the shutdown. Have you spoken to him? Do you think she should be sworn in right away?
Well, before she answers, John, Natalie, have you heard Mike Johnson's explanation of why he swore in 2 Republicans but didn't swear in the Democrat? Did you guys hear that?
Yes, because you see, TJ, the Republicans, they had family visiting from out of town, so he didn't want to be rude and not let them come to the ceremony, and that's why. That's the reason.
You heard that, Natalie?
I didn't hear that. And now I'm upset that I know that now. So
No,
And again, I just want to be clear. I'm not like being hyperbolic. Like I'm not like
no.
trying to make fun
No,
of him.
I
That
believe
is his
you.
stated explicit reason.
he's a family man, you know? He's all
He is.
about
He
that
loves.
family
He loves
values.
the family. Loves sharing porn with his
Loves
kid.
it.
You know, like all those nice family activities.
Yes.
No, it is that we'll get to Marjorie Taylor Greene in a bit, but John, I had the same reaction. Like, this doesn't seem real. I saw the headline for it. I said, come on, they're exaggerating. He didn't really say that. He literally said that. He said, listen, well, you don't understand.
Oh.
The two Republicans, they had their family and their friends fly in. They were in D.C., so we kind of had to. But the Democrat, we're going to wait on that. So wow, man, that kind of shows me the Republicans are more on their back foot than I even thought. But let's finish with. Congressman Green says.
Well, I'll say it like this. I can't conclusively say if that's why the House is not in session, but the House should be in session. And the House should be in session for many reasons. We have appropriation bills that need to get passed. There is a new Democrat that's been elected that does deserve to be sworn in. Her district elected her. We have other bills that we need to be passing. And if it's to avoid the discharge petition, why drag this out? That is going to have 218 signatures. And so I say go ahead and do it and get it over with.
All right, Natalie, I'll go to you first. What the hell is going on with Marjorie Taylor Greene? Like, this is an odd thing for any Republican to say out loud, specifically her, like the biggest Trump fan on the planet. Like, well, what do you think when you saw that?
Yeah, this is what I mean about there are factions within this MAGA party, and I think she's more along the QAnon sector than we realize. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene, first of all, a broken clock is still right twice a day, and this is one of those instances where she agrees with us, like the sane people. This doesn't suddenly make her a Democrat or someone that can be reasoned with, but this is an issue that has mattered to her for a long time. She has wanted these files released. She has been very clear about that. I actually pulled a clip from this interview from my own social media today, and it was about healthcare. And she was talking actually about how the healthcare system is broken and the Republicans aren't doing anything to fix it. And once again, I was like, what the hell is going on? And I think the amount of public pressure that is being put on these elected officials, we sometimes forget how much power we do have. She said she's being bombarded with phone calls, bombarded. So one, it's a reminder for us to keep bothering them because they're supposed to work for us. And two, at the end of the day, she wants to get reelected. And so if that means throwing the supreme leader under the bus at some point, she is that kind of person that I think would do it. But three, most importantly, I think this is showing the deeper cracks of the different factions that are within the MAGA umbrella, and QAnon is one of them. And I do think that's really an umbrella where she fits in.
It's interesting, Natalie. I really hesitate to say this, but I think I'm going to anyway. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene might be a little smarter than we thought she was.
John.
And I'm not. No, here's the thing, Natalie. Here's the thing. And I'm not saying this because she's agreeing with us on our side of the aisle here. I'm trying to look at the explanations for why she would do this, particularly right now. And I'm always Occam's razor. Until evidence is presented to the contrary, my default opinion will be the most likely explanation is the simplest explanation. Who stands to gain the most with the Epstein files coming out? Everyone, the young people in Congress, because it's going to weed out. There's going to be a fucking giant hole that is going to be filled by the young people in Congress stepping up. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, she came up riding Trump's coattails, and she rode that all the way to Congress. But then it didn't get her anywhere else. Like, she hasn't moved from her position as Marjorie Taylor Greene. She hasn't gained any real power within the party. And you know what? If I'm Marjorie Taylor Greene and I got this shining star and I got all these cameras on me, shit, what can I do? What can I do to gain more power? What can I do to move up in the world? This is the most, what you do is you go, this is a winning fucking position that the rest of my party is just handing me on a silver platter. I'm going to be the Republican who was for releasing the Epstein files. I'm going to be the Republican who was for opening the government to get people health care. I'm going to be the Republican who, oh shit, I was always pro-Trump until that thing came out that let me jump ship. And now I'm the most famous of the opposition Republicans. But it puts her in a really good position.
Can I just interject, though? I agree with you to a point, but the rest of the interview, she talks about how she still is a part of the Republican Party. She still supports Trump, and that she did vote with her party. And this is the part I really need people to understand. And I talked about this in my video. Actions have to speak louder than words, because you're right, Jon. She is trying to position herself a certain way, but she's not voting that way. If she had voted against the big, beautiful bill from hell, I could have maybe a shred of respect for that. But the fact that she went on and she's saying all this stuff, and she knows damn well what's going to happen to people when it comes to healthcare, student loans, all the things, when it comes to all these issues, including the fact that her party is blocking the release of these files, she's not stepping up to the plate. So she's just talking out of both sides of her face, which is very classic politician. But also, if she actually wanted to show that she wants to move up in the world in some way, to me, this isn't enough. That's not enough to just go on CNN and say some shit.
I mean, it's not enough for me either. I'm just saying, my bar for Marjorie Taylor Greene's intelligence was on the floor, and I'm like, maybe I misjudged her. Maybe she has some chops. I'm not saying she's a good person. I'm not saying I respect her.
An inch off the floor.
I'm just saying maybe she's learned a thing or two in the halls of Congress. What do you think, TJ?
I think I might be with Jon on this. I think that what you actually vote, like what your actual voting record is, I think matters a lot more what your public perception is. And if she can position herself even just rhetorically as being, hey, I'm the Republican who said we should release the Epstein files. Whether you vote that way or not, people don't really care. At least I don't think so. I don't think that people care about voting records at all. We do, and people who know what they're talking about. But, your average, American voter isn't going to dig that deep into it. They're going to remember clips like, oh, yeah, when this whole thing collapses, someone commented here, Brendan says, there's no way MAGA stays together through the midterms. Between Epstein, the healthcare crisis, the economy, there's both, or I think there's not enough juice left is what I think you mean. I agree. I don't know if it'll collapse in the midterms, but like Natalie says, definitely post-Trump. It's over. Like, no one else has the riz, the style, the charisma, the energy. It's actually a shame that Donald Trump ended up being the goddamn president of the United States, because he could have been a legendary, car salesman or content creator or anything. He could have been amazing at that, but he used this to start one of the most destructive cults that I've ever heard about. So yeah, I think that Green could be trying to thread the needle here, and I don't know. I've seen crazier things work. I like Jon's theory with that, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see how this ends up. But with this, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, but she's trying to position herself as not necessarily anti-Trump, because you can't do that. The cult can't possibly tolerate you for that, especially when Trump is dropping bangers like this. Have you seen this commercial that Trump put out blaming the Democrats for the government shutdown? I got to give the Democrats props here. There's a clip from Hakeem Jeffries that I want to show in a bit, but they have really stood strong with this whole shutdown thing, but Trump trying to blame them is kind of humorous. Let's check out what they had to say.
The party of open borders, transgender for everybody, lawlessness in our streets are shutting down the government in an effort to appease the radical left. These Democrats are coordinating their strategy with outside leftist groups and are demanding nearly $1.5 trillion in spending for an agenda that includes healthcare for illegal aliens and much, much more. Democrats for years have railed against government shutdowns, claiming a shutdown would mean much chaos and pain and needless heartache for the American people. Democrats are out of control, and you know who it hurts?
You, everyday people, the most vulnerable, seniors, veterans, working families, hungry kids, y'all.
Tell Congress to avoid the Democrat-led government shutdown.
All right, in case of those For those of you who don't know, John Cooper is better than you in many ways, one of which he actually went to film school. So I'll start with you, John. What did you think of that commercial? Well made, sensible, and will it work with the target audience, which is, I guess, swing voters?
So okay, yeah, that depends who's the target audience, TJ. Because I don't know. We've talked about political commercials a lot. That's a shit political commercial. That's a political commercial that you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, if I agree with this person, then that commercial works for me. If I don't, it's not changing any minds. That's a GOTV a strategy of an ad. But the problem with that is that doesn't matter right now. Like getting out the vote doesn't matter. Energizing your base to defend this doesn't matter. What matters is the government is shut down and Republicans are in charge. And no matter what, like again, I can look at the ad, be like, it's a classic scary political ad. Very funny actually. Like honestly, it's almost satirical when he's like transgender for everyone. Like it's like that's what you would put in that the boys would play that ad and it would be exactly the same. But the thing is, this shit ain't working. A YouGov poll conducted in the early days of shutdown found that 45% of voters blame Trump and Republicans versus 36% who hold Democrats responsible. A new CBS survey released this week also found that a gap to be 9 percentage points, with 39% of respondents holding Trump and Republicans account versus 30% who blame Democrats. They're not going to be able to message their way through this shit because everyone knows. Even the people who don't pay attention know Republicans control Congress and the White House. Like that's just, that, and they're in charge and they're going to blame the fucking people in charge. Even if they weren't lying about what's like being negotiated right now, which they are. And we're going to get to that. I want to get to the details of what is actually being haggled over right now. But even if they weren't lying, even if they were telling the truth and Democrats were being incredibly dishonest and harmful in the ways that Republicans have been when we shut down the government in the past, well, the Democrats still got blamed when they were in control. And that's still going to happen now because Republicans have no scapegoat here. They have no one to shove the blame onto. They can say Democrat-led shutdown all they fucking want, but no one's actually going to listen because they've never listened at any point in the past. The party that is in power has always been the party that is blamed for government shutdowns, and this ain't going to be any different.
Yeah, and I think this one is particularly devastating because of what's at stake with everything that's happening. I think this one's particularly devastating because at least here in Pennsylvania, and John and I are both experiencing this, our own government is having a hell of a time passing a budget. So the situation at the federal level is actually compounding here at the state level in Pennsylvania. They're going to be possibly shutting off WIC, which is food for babies and new moms. I mean, supplemental like SNAP, food stamps, all of these things are at risk. So this is having just like serious implications at both the national and now at the state level. And I think people, they may not be paying attention to their news cycle like apparently Joe Rogan is, but they are noticing that what is going on at the grocery store, what is going on with their insurance premiums, the letters they're getting that, hey, your supplemental insurance might be shutting off in how many months or weeks from now. So people are seeing this already. So whether or not they can message their way out of it is irrelevant because people are feeling it so much in their pocketbooks. I will say this, though, it is disappointing to me when you said, John, that it was like 30% believe it's the Democrats that are responsible. That's just incredibly high for what's going on. Like this just like really that many people still. I mean, I know I'm glad it's not the majority, but holy shit, do we have an uphill battle when it comes to disinformation running rampant on the internet? And oh my gosh, do the Democrats have an uphill battle when it comes to getting it together with their messaging? I interviewed Representative Malcolm Kenyatta the other night for my show on Substack, and he just said something that just like I've been thinking about. He just said, the Democrats are just trying to make America better. And I was just like, see, that needs to be the tagline because it doesn't mean anything, but everybody wants everything to be better. Like we haven't figured it out yet, how to just make some kind of simple messaging that the Republicans are really good at to pull people to the other side. And I think that talking about issues that make your life better could be one of them. And a government shutdown is certainly not doing that. So I'm at least glad that the Democrats are trying to stand against this issue in solidarity.
Yeah, I saw that same poll, John. I had the same thought Natalie did. It's still not even a majority of people blaming the Republicans. Stunning to me. But I mean, I imagine that number is going to grow. 47 is a healthy plurality. But then I saw like 30% blame the Democrats. And I thought, okay, that's probably Trump's like rock solid force that are going to blame Democrats no matter what. So that 30 probably isn't going to change. Like maybe we can hope for a 28 or something. But I think those folks are going to blame them no matter what. John, you said you wanted to get into the weeds about the shutdown. What would you have for us?
Yeah, so as you heard, I mean, so the transgender for everyone in that commercial is very funny because there's nothing even being talked about related to anything regarding transgender people in this government shutdown. He just shoehorned that one in there as a scary buzzword. Like again, he's also lying about the illegal immigrants receiving healthcare thing, but at least healthcare is what this is about, right? At least it's in the same ballpark. And so that is, at the end of the day, the biggest part of this is healthcare. And specifically, it's about the rollbacks made to the Affordable Care Act with the big, beautiful bill. And it's funny, he did mention a correct figure. That's $1.5 trillion. Now, what they don't mention there is that the vast majority of that, which is $1 trillion, is because the Democrats want to essentially renege the 15% cut to Medicaid spending that the big, beautiful bill did. And that totaled over $1 trillion over the next 10 years. The Congressional Budget Office, which is nonpartisan, the CBO, they said this cut would result in approximately 8 million people losing Medicaid coverage. That's 8 million people uninsured. Not only that, but because a lot of rural hospitals receive funding through Medicaid, we could see up to 700 rural hospitals shut down because there's just not enough money to fund them. There's a lot of logistical problems, not problems, but like issues that rural hospitals face. They don't have enough people, and they can't get into densely populated areas because there are no densely populated areas, and people still need fucking hospitals, right? And so they need this kind of funding to be there for emergencies for the millions of Americans who live in these rural areas, which, by the way, are in red fucking counties and states mostly. And that's the really sad part of all of this, is that Democrats are honestly fighting tooth and nail here to basically save red areas. Like those are the people who are going to be most affected if these Medicaid cuts go into effect, and Democrats are fighting tooth and nail for them. The other thing of this, the whole immigrant thing, right? This is the fucked up, twisted worldview logic that they're trying to push through. Democrats want to get rid of the narrowing of requirements in order to receive both Medicaid and be able to have access to any sort of government health care. That Republicans basically stripped that away. I forget exactly how many people. I didn't have that written down. But specifically with immigrants, a lot of people who are here legally, people legally seeking asylum, DACA, all of the types of immigrants who are legally here that Republicans tried to strip from being able to access this funding. That's who Republicans are ostensibly saying are illegal immigrants that the Democrats want to give health care to. But they don't. There's nowhere in the proposal that allows illegal immigrants to get health care. It's not there. It doesn't exist. I've been fighting with people on threads about this, and I'm just like, show me where it says it. Go ahead. Tell me where I'm lying. And they can't do it because it doesn't exist. You will not see a single person showing you a piece of the Democrats' proposal, and you can look it up on fucking line, that says we're giving health care to illegal immigrants. It will not happen because it doesn't exist. They aren't even eligible to receive it. There's no way for them to sign up for government health insurance as an illegal immigrant. It's not even physically possible for them to do so. And yet that is the line. That is the line in the sand. That's the number one messaging that Republicans are going with, is we are going to continue to shut down this government in order to stop the Democrats from giving illegal immigrants health care. which even if that was the case, I still want to be able to take a fucking flight. If I have to give illegal immigrants healthcare to do it, I'm going to fucking do it. That's not a good reason to shut down the government, bro. And B, it's not even fucking true. It's just a complete aberration. There's no part of that sentence that is even close to being a fact. And yet that is the main headline reason they're running with. And it's honestly disappointing. It is so disappointing to me to see so many people in this country just go along with that and be like, yeah, no, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the Republicans just straight up lying, completely lying about their reason for shutting down the government. And we just treat it like it's normal. Our media treats it like, oh, we have to be both sides about this. It's fucking revolting.
Yeah, because we live in a white supremacist patriarchal hellhole that our only real God is capitalism. I mean, that's the framework of this entire nation's history that we refuse to deal with. This is why we have ICE running around shooting cops with pepper bullets, or excuse me, shooting priests and pastors with pepper bullets. You know, it's like
they mace some cops too, Natalie. I don't know if you saw that.
That's true. They may, yeah. Yeah, that's a whole other thing. It's just what's fascinating, two things that you said. One, not only is this impacting the rural hospitals, but these Republicans that are so pro-life, they're so pro-life. Those hospitals also include the maternity wards, which are also going to be disappearing. So if you are pregnant and you need medical care, if you start bleeding out, if you need to give birth, if you need to go for a visit to your hospital, you will not be able to do that. So you're going to see a rise in maternal death, and you're going to see a rise in infant mortality. It's going to hit low income and Black and brown women the hardest, as it always does. And you're going to see this in red areas. And hell yeah, Democrats should be pushing for red communities to have healthcare, because we're all Americans. Both parties should be caring about all of its constituents. And I'm really sick and tired of the level of separation that has become so clear, in particular on the Republican side, where they don't want anyone who doesn't think just like them to have access to anything. And then the final thing I'll say, John, what you were talking about with the undocumented immigrants, is the reality that, Reagan was the one that said, hey, if someone comes to the emergency room, no matter who they are, we're going to treat them. We're going to take care of them. That used to be something we cared about. I want to see anyone who needs healthcare, who needs emergency healthcare, life-saving healthcare, be able to access that when they are in this country. That should be a source of pride, to live in the richest nation in the world and say, of course we take care of anybody who needs our help, because that's what we do in America. That's the America I would like to see, that we aspire to be, instead of the place where we are at currently, which I am embarrassed of, I am disgusted by, and I am afraid of how bad it is getting. I was thinking today about Kristi Noem, who I can't stand, and how she was talking about how they're going after the founders of Antifa and all this shit. And I laughed to myself, because 3 out of 4 of my grandparents would have been considered Antifa, because they fought in World War II and they killed Nazis, and that's the legacy there. That's our history too. And I'm really tired of the right trying to co-opt and mutate it to fit this sick and twisted narrative that upholds this white Christian nationalist framework that is killing us and is going to kill them too. Sick of it.
Yeah, I wanted to hear what you guys are talking about with Johnson, because folks, they are not exaggerating when they say that Mike Johnson's saying, well, the reason that we can't fund the government is because supposedly the Democrats want to, shell out a bunch of money, extra money. I'll get to that clip in a bit, for hospitals to treat illegal aliens that go to emergency treatment. Because they tried that, well, we're giving undocumented immigrants access to, healthcare like Obamacare and Medicaid. Not true at all. But then they're rolling with this, which once again, I think just helps paint the very real picture that the Republicans are just not in a good position here.
If you're a young, pregnant American citizen woman who shows up in an ER and you get treated, and they pay the hospital less for treating you than some illegal rabble-rouser who came in from some, South American country to do us harm, that is wrong. The Republican Party stands for common sense. In the big, beautiful bill, we fix that. And Chuck Schumer wants to unwind it, and it is unconscionable to me that he's inflicting all this pain on American citizens so they can play games and try to appease the radical left base. That's
What's great about this clip to me is the Democrats do everything in their power to not appease the radical left base. The Republicans do nothing, but their entire platform is, okay, how far right can we go? This is crazy. Like, Natalie, I think you mentioned the fact that Reagan was the one who signed into law that, oh yeah, of course, if anyone shows up at an emergency room, you got to treat them. You don't ask them for their passport or their birth certificate or their I-9S form showing their immigration status or their visa. No, take care of that. We don't have time. What if shows up in a coma and they don't have their wallet on them? Let them sit there and die? It's insane. Like, if you guys saw, there was a debate between George Bush Sr. and Reagan back in 1980, I believe, and they're both saying, yeah. The question was, should schools accept the children of undocumented immigrants? And they said, well, yeah, of course. Like, we're not going to let the kids sit there and not get educated just because their parents happen to not have filed the right paperwork to be in that state. Yeah, the kid deserves to go to school. Like, that Republican Party, once again, not saying it was good, but it is unrecognizable compared to the Republican Party. The inmates are truly running the asylum. And like, like, their actual argument is we have to shut down the government because the Democrats want to give more money to hospitals for treating undocumented immigrants. Not true. Not true at all. How would you even know? Like, how would you even know? Why would you want another step in between helping someone who shows up at a fucking emergency room? I don't think it's going to end well for Republicans. I don't know how far this is going to go, but I do have to ask you guys this question. I don't know if I asked this last time on the show, John. I think I did. One thing I can't figure out, it's been racking my brain, that I don't believe Trump actually wants the shutdown. He's not acting like he does. And he wasn't acting like it beforehand. A lot of people think that maybe this is his way to, slash a bunch of programs, everything. He keeps threatening to do so. He says stuff that, well, we're going to, ban a bunch of programs permanently. There'll be Democrat programs. We're not going to pay back federal workers who are Democrats. I think he's blustering. Like, once again, it's a dangerous game to say that with Trump. I think he's just trying to, ramp things up so people capitulate the government back up. What I can't figure out is, why won't the Republicans just vote to get rid of the filibuster? They could. They absolutely could. Like, the filibuster isn't in the Constitution. This is something that people think it's like enshrined there. No, the filibuster exists for one reason. The Senate wants it to exist. They say, we're not going to get rid of this, except in certain circumstances. Republicans get rid of the filibuster all the time for like nominating judges or something like that. And like, to break the filibuster, you need 60 votes. If they don't have it, they could hold a vote right now. They can call a session and say, simple majority, change the rules of the filibuster, which is kind of ridiculous that the filibuster needs 60 votes, but to get rid of it, you only need 51. I've always found that funny. They can do that anytime they want. Why don't you think, Natalie, like, why don't you think they just do it?
Well, I don't know why. I don't know why they're doing a lot of the things that they're doing. I don't know if maybe they're afraid of what that could mean down the road. If it's gone, I'm not really sure, actually. I don't know. How about you, John?
Yeah, no, it's kind of the $64,000 question here, right? Because I think there's multiple factions within the Republican Party, right? And that's something that we do have to remember. They're not, as much as they often vote as a monolith, as much as we like to think of them as doing anything Donald Trump says, that's not entirely true, right? Because there are even factions of Trump's own cabinet that have very drastically different goals. For example, the Stephen Millers of the world, the Russell Vaught's of the world, and particularly Donald Trump, want Donald Trump to be president after 2028. They want him to continue to be, they want him to become a dictator.
Mm-hmm.
Vance doesn't want that for very obvious reasons. Congressional Republicans don't want that for very obvious reasons. They're playing different games. So the Trump administration, they often seem to be acting as if they don't plan to ever give up power. Like, and that does seem to be, if you look at their different moves they're making, their end game strategy is to retain power through 2028 at the very least. But the congressional Republicans, they've been around a little bit. they know that the filibuster is their friend and the friend of any party that wants to slow government down. And so nuking the filibuster, they probably are uncomfortable with that because they don't have any sort of assurances that they're going to be able to achieve this endgame strategy that Trump wants to achieve. In fact, if you're looking at the Trump administration in general, I'm not all too that confident that he's going to be able to pull it off. And probably neither are the congressional Republicans. So that would probably be your Occam's razor explanation for why some of them seem to be playing this game of we're never giving up power, and yet why aren't we nuking the filibuster if we don't care about it anymore? That's probably why. And again, time and time again, as much as these things are very scary, as much as we see these things going on, we see Trump, brandishing and kind of ignoring judges sometimes, but time and time again, when a hard order comes down, it stops him and he can't do anything. And we see the rule of law holding thus far. And that's probably why they don't want to nuke the filibuster, because they realize, as the party that wants to be obstructionist, even when in power, they want to have that in place. They want to keep that a sacred cow that doesn't get touched.
Yeah, that's really, I think we're saying the same thing in the sense that it's sort of this nuclear option that they like to have. And I think the Democrats have kind of always felt the same way about it as well. There's a lot of push and pull there with it. And I just wanted to add, TJ, I think you had said this when you were talking about, the illegal immigrants and why this issue is the issue of the moment. And the reason I think that it has become this major issue is because the Republicans can't really win now on gay marriage, and they can't really win now on the issue of abortion anymore. I think now we have hit the limits. They've gotten what they wanted from abortion, and it really hasn't worked out. The level of maternal deaths rising, infant mortality, all those things, it's not been a good look. So I don't know how long that's really going to hold. And then they were throwing around the idea of trying to rally people around, getting rid of gay marriage or whatever, but that hasn't really held. Yes, we're talking about transgender people, and that's sort of their new focus on them. They're evil, but there's such a tiny, tiny specific portion of the population that I don't know if that's something that's really a hold for a large sector of their side of the aisle. But the illegal alien, I mean, just the phrasing of that, instead of just saying undocumented worker, or something that's a lot less inflammatory, the idea of the illegal alien, coming in and raping women and terrorizing communities and, doing and taking your healthcare and taking your jobs. Like, these are terrifying things that I think can then reunify them, because once again, filibuster or not, their policies are completely unpopular. They don't have ideas for solving healthcare. I mean, we know that. They don't have ideas for affordable housing or paid leave or anything. So really, they are the fear mongering base, and they need to expand that somehow. And right now, I think the illegal alien is the thing, and it just so happens they're tying it to the healthcare issue. But it should be interesting to see where that all goes. And I will add this too. I don't know if you guys check your comments. I try to avoid mine, but every now and then I will look. And I've been called a lot of the bots, I think they're bots that are supposed to be men, but I think they're bots. Yeah, a lot of them have been calling me trans and making fun of my gender identity, even though I'm a woman. Like, I've always been a woman. I was born a woman, whatever. But there's been this thing lately where I've been getting a lot of bots attacking me, saying oh, look at her trying to pass, or who does she think, just weird shit. And I'm wondering, once again, as we know how the disinformation machine is working and generative AI is working in favor of this machine, how much of the conversation online about the illegal alien then is just bot created, but people are reading it thinking it's real? Because I find it interesting that, the things that I was being called a few years ago have now morphed into this new insult. And it's very much in line with where the Republican Party is in terms of their hatred and vitriol. And it's just a fascinating thing to see which is feeding which.
Yeah, with the trans thing, I think so. With conservatives in general, their primary hatred is directed towards male to female transgender. Like that's what really
Correct.
sets them off. That's what really gets them angry. Well, I like to use it in my favor by saying, "Well, how do you know I'm not trans? Like, how do you know? Like, you're saying that gender is this biological essentialism that you're going for here, but you refer to me as he. How do you know I wasn't born a woman? I mean, like you've never seen my chromosomes, my gametes. I could give you a blood sample and a microscope and all the time in the world. You'd never be able to find it out on your own. And unlike your mother, you've never seen my genitals. You have no idea exactly like how I identify, but just use it against them. This only works for guys because with women, like they say, oh, well, I bet you're a guy. Of course, they fall into that, but use it to your favor. I don't see why not. But with the illegal alien thing, Natalie, yeah, I agree. Like, actually, I was going to say this with that Trump ad we played. They picked Ayanna Pressley for a specific reason, that she is a black woman who shaved her head, which immediately set off the bad guys. Like, they got pissed off the
Wild.
second she was on screen. Yeah, before she even said a goddamn word. And like with everything else, they are really overplaying their hand with this immigration thing. I mean, like John and I talked last episode about how ICE is out of fucking control. I'd like to see the stats on this, on what the popularity of the approval rating for ICE is. I mean, I can't imagine your average person is fine with what they're seeing. And I apologize in advance, but it reminded me of yet another Joe Rogan clip. And I wanted to show what Joe Rogan, a lot
the
of
most I've ever
I know,
watched.
I'm sorry. A lot of the podcast bros are saying the same thing. And I think it reflects what Trump voters are saying. It doesn't speak well of them, but it is what's happening.
The immigration thing, the way it looks is horrific. When you're just arresting people in front of their kids and just normal, regular people that have been here for 20 years, that everybody who has a heart can't get along with that.
No.
Everybody who has a heart sees that and goes, that can't be right. That can't be right. That can't be the only way to do this.
Right.
Because you have to think, look, yeah, we have to have a border. Yes, it should have been secure. Yes, they should make sure you know who everybody is before they get in.
Yeah.
But when people have been here for 20 years, like, come on, man, that's crazy. Like, let's find a way. If they've been productive members of society for 20 years, no criminal record, they worked the entire time, they paid taxes, find them a pathway to citizenship. Find a way where you can do this thing that you want to do, which is keep terrorists and cartel members from getting across the border with drugs to kill 100,000 people a year. Okay. But also have a fucking heart, because if you don't, you're not going to get anybody on your side. If you're doing this stuff publicly, throwing women to the ground, handcuffing people just for existing on the wrong side of the dirt.
Yeah.
Not a criminal. Not the only crime they ever committed was coming over here as a kid.
Yeah.
They probably didn't even know what the fuck was going on.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
A lot of kids got snuck across when they were already born in Mexico. And they've grown up their entire life in America. They can't even speak Spanish.
Yeah.
And they could get sent back.
Natalie, we'll go to you first. Who could have seen this coming? This is something that no one could have predicted. I'm just as shocked as Mr. Rogan over there.
Is he dressed as a priest?
Yeah, I don't know why.
I've been wondering that, TJ. Do you know why?
I don't know why. No,
sorry,
I
was just so distracted, and I was just like, "Wait, is he?"
He has a new job now. He's leaving
exactly.
podcasting. He's into the clergy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, look. Once again, I don't understand this issue as this thing that has people so worked up. I mean, the reason I think it's like 90% of people who come here undocumented are asylum seekers. And so if we would just, instead of put all this money into ICE, which is now more well-funded than most nations' militaries, that's how many billions of dollars we've given these this Gestapo. They could have just put more judges along the border to quicken the pace of asylum seekers and move that paperwork through. You know, I have a lot of friends that work in immigration, and they say to me, it is the second most complicated set of laws next to our tax code in this country. It is incredibly difficult. Joe Rogan acting like, well, all we have to do is, can't we just find them a way forward? Yeah, dumbass. Like that would be nice. Yes, like obviously, but it's complicated to the point that people wait years and years and years and years to go through this process and still maybe will never get their citizenship. The system is broken. I think we all want to make sure people that are coming here are doing so because they want to be here to be a part of a community and a society. We know that people who have immigrated here from anywhere around the world are much less likely to commit crime than people who are born here. So this idea of them bringing all of this crime, it's like, baby, we got plenty of homegrown criminals, okay, in the United States. And I think what we need to be focusing on is how we talk about each other, because it is shocking to me that this man who propped up Trump and has been talking about the things that Trump espouses is now suddenly shocked by how people are behaving now that Trump is in power, how the secret police is behaving and throwing women to the ground. I'm shocked by that. Really? Really? You're shocked by that? Like, you're shocked that this type of person is violent towards women? Are you crazy? So there's a lot of things that Joe Rogan is saying that I would equate to how a 5-month-old discovering their hand for the first time would understand. Like, he's just in such an infantile state of existence for me. I'm having a hard time. But yeah, so that, to me, I think it comes down to understanding that these problems are solvable. They could be fixed in a non-violent way, and we could be expanding how we bring people into this country in a way that makes sense, and especially into states like Pennsylvania, who we are losing population every year. Our state is aging. We have a shitty minimum wage of $7.25 an hour, which isn't helping. And so a lot of these things go hand in hand. But I'm doing a show right now for WQED on the impact of immigrants in our communities. And I already had respect for immigrant communities, but after working on this series, my God, my respect and admiration for people who come here from another country, who don't speak the language, who don't understand the customs, and who build lives and create jobs and families and communities, and then welcome others into those spaces. It's like my heart grew 10 times. And I wish more people would see that side of the coin than the ugliness that they're espousing about it.
No, this is one of those situations, Natalie, where you see the factions of the Republican Party, because on one hand, you have what Joe Rogan just said. And that was, as TJ mentioned, the kind of common sense Republican Party narrative that existed when I was a kid. What John McCain would have said, what George W. Bush, George W. Bush probably would have said it. They used to be common sense okay with immigration. They weren't just against it. But you have people in the Trump White House now, your Stephen Millers, your Russell Vaults. This is why we call them fascist. This is why Donald Trump isn't just an authoritarian. His administration has created this narrative around these illegal aliens. They're coming here to steal your wives, kill your children, eat your pets. And again, not exaggeration, these are things he said. And it's not true. None of it's true, but he's creating this other underclass of people that he's going to attack at all turns. We're going to shut down the government. Oh, we're going to blame it on illegal aliens. Is there anything about illegal aliens going on? No, but it's their fault. It's the fucking Jews' fault. I'm sorry, not the Jews, the illegal aliens. I'm sorry. I got my eras confused. It's the same shit. Yep. It's the same exact playbook. And they really fucking care about this. Your people in Trump's orbits, your Elon Musks, your, as I said, your Russell Vaults, your Stephen Millers, they really give a shit about this American identity. You see the Department of Homeland Security, they keep tweeting out this fucking fascist propaganda porn of like these happy white families back in the day, these manifest destiny, conquering the plane, all of this shit. And that's why we call them fascists. They're not just the normal Republicans of many years ago. They're not just authoritarians. Trump is clearly an egotistical authoritarian, but this is the thing that makes him fascist, this othering of this group of people that they blame everything for and are building up an internal domestic police force in ICE, which they are using to abuse these people. We saw them go into Chicago. There was a raid in an apartment building in Chicago where they zip-tied children for hours, brought them out in the streets, put them into vans. Fucking Reagan would have never supported that or ever done that. That's fucking Reagan, right? And that is what we're seeing in today's America. And I think a lot of Americans are like, I don't know, it can't actually be the Gestapo. No, it fucking is. And it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. TJ, you brought up the approval ratings, right, for ICE.
Yeah.
And shit, I just fucking had them up. And where the hell did they go?
In the toilet.
Wait. Oh, here we are. So a Quinnipiac poll in June found that the performance, the approval rating of ICE was 39%, and 56% say they disapprove. That was in June.
There, John.
Yes, my bad. And then a YouGov poll, which was conducted over the first half. So I guess this is also June, first half of 2025. The net favorability changed. They were plus 15% in February, minus 13% in late June. So it had been declining, and it could have only gotten worse in the last several months. ICE is a major. I'm seeing Democrats calling to abolish ICE now. We've been calling to abolish ICE for a long time, but we finally have mainstream Democrats calling for it. And honestly, it's shocking that it's not the entire party in unison yet. But it probably will be if things continue to get worse like this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I meant when we're saying that he's leaning into the immigration thing, because that's kind of their happy horse right now. I don't know how smart that is with how, like, maybe the Republic. I mean, like John mentioned with the fascist porn. I saw a clip of this security camera, and ICE agents ran out of this van chasing some guy who was eating a sandwich on the side of the road, and behind him was a dude with a camera. They're doing like cop stuff, TV show, like they're recording it, and it's like, it just looks so bad. And they got the weird masks on, everything. They don't wear name tapes. It is really creepy and weird. I'm genuinely surprised none of these guys have gotten shot yet, especially the ones who walk around in plain clothes, the one who don't have badges or any sort of identification. They just grab people with the firearms we have in this nation. And the cops have got to be pissed off with people just causing trouble, because I guarantee these guys have had the cops call them a few times, like, where are they putting them in detention facilities? Unless they're not, especially like in Chicago, they're not working with the cops in Chicago. It's bad. Like, I think that this is going to really damage the Republicans. You're leaning into it might be a mistake. I hadn't heard this until COVID has come to. I don't know, John, as you saw this, but oh wow, oh boy, big news! U.S. troops going to Israel. Close enough. Welcome back, George Bush. We'll miss you, TJ. I won't be going anywhere. But had you guys heard anything about that?
I hadn't, and I just tried looking it up. So I read it and I was like, Israel. What? Where the fuck is Israel?
I was so confused. Sorry, Colby. I was so confused. But now when you say it out loud, it's amazing. Yeah, he's sending like 200 troops over there to help keep the peace or something. Yeah.
Also, before we jump into this, I just had to mention Colby's comment. They're crossing the border to marry our John Coopers. A+ comment, Colby. That was very funny. Those immigrants coming over to steal our John Coopers, turn them into John Cooper Pazes.
That's great. That's fantastic. U.S. prepping to send 200 troops to Israel for Gaza support. The United States military is preparing options to deploy as many as 200 U.S. troops to Israel to support stabilization in Gaza and the flow of humanitarian aid and security assistance into the enclave, two U.S. officials familiar with the planning said. The U.S. troops will stay in Israel, where they will support logistics, transportation, engineering, and planning, the official said. They will not be in Gaza. No U.S. boots on the ground in Gaza, one of the officials said. Natalie, you had heard about this, I guess. What are your thoughts when you ran across this?
I mean, just like super eye roll. I'm just so, I don't know. I'm just so disgusted with everything that's happening in this situation at this point, and where we're at in all of this and how we continue to keep funding this. And now we're sending troops over there, whether or not they go to Gaza, whether or not that's true or not. Of commitment at this point is just indefensible, and I'm at a total loss as to where we go from here. But once again, I keep going back to this idea that the reason we have ICE ripping people from their literal beds is because we have live streamed a genocide for 2 years and have become so desensitized to it that, of course, we're allowing what's happening now in America to happen here. So this is just an escalation of energy, in my opinion. And all of these things are connected. So I'm not surprised, but I'm extremely disappointed and disgusted per usual.
I'm very worried. Seeing that American troops are going to be on the ground in Israel, saying they're not going to be in Gaza, so like, thank God. But like, God, am I the only
telling
one?
us that, John? I don't know if I don't know. I don't know if I believe them.
Well, am I the only one who's like devastatingly worried about a false flag here? Because this whole thing with this ceasefire agreement, I'm like, okay, I'll believe it when I see it. You know, like I'm glad that there's a ceasefire deal done. Don't get me wrong. If I only wish for it to be as successful as possible. But we've had ceasefire deals done before, and Israel blew them up, quite literally. They were blowing people up today. I think there was 29 Gazans killed today by Israeli airstrikes, you know, in the middle of negotiating the ceasefire, which, like, that just doesn't scream to me negotiating in good faith when it comes to a ceasefire deal, right? And the idea that there's going to be enough troops on the ground to be a scary number in the newspapers, but not enough troops on the ground to really hurt that much. That's kind of scary to me. Because if there's some sort of something going on and troops die, suddenly we have cause to invade. And that is kind of the scariest possible world of all worlds, is the U.S. invasion of Gaza or Palestine, like that. And that's how that would happen. So yeah, like, again, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying, why the fuck I don't want there to be any possibility of that, and suddenly I have to worry about that now, and that fucking sucks.
Yeah.
TJ, what do you think? You're muted, by the way.
I'd be lying if I didn't say that thought crossed my mind too. Well, actually, all the same thoughts. The first thought is, okay, like John said, I'll believe the ceasefire when I see it. This is ceasefire number 30 now. I don't really have a lot of optimism that this is going to be the one. This will be, like we said last time when Trump does something terrific. It's like, I'm sure one more protest will really get the job done. We'll knock Trump out completely, but the ceasefire, we'll see. And then my mind continued more with what John says, like, 200 troops to facilitate humanitarian aid. Not outside the realm of possibility. This is actually something that happens all the time with the military, that they hand out food, water, and medicine. It happens a lot. Like, we think of the military as, their primary mission, which is, death, destruction, and killing. But, they do humanitarian stuff all the time too. And it's like, ooh, yeah, that, I guess the 5-paragraph op order, it makes sense where, we'll send some people out to help with humanitarian aid, not in Gaza where it's needed. Strange. Like, but that's what if, God forbid, there is some sort of attack. The literal only thing that would be an acceptable action that the United States would be okay with the United States military being active in Gaza is if they attacked like someone in our military, because our lives are worth more. Like, our lives are worth actually more. So then that's the only impetus I can see with the public even mildly accepting escalation in Gaza. Once again, I have no proof that's the case. Maybe this is innocent, maybe it's not. But I just think I would not want to be one of those 200 troops. I would not want to be on that plane. That is the thought that I'd be happy that whole time. It's like, okay, I'm watching my 6 the entire time there. But yeah, I don't know. I hadn't heard about that, so thank you, Kobe. But we'll see how it plays out. Oh, ceasefire, John. Or what do you think the impetus is then? Like, do you think Trump, this is another thing with him, puffing his chest, trying to desperately and pathetically get that Nobel Peace Prize, which why he's so obsessed with this is beyond me. Other than the fact that Obama won a Peace Prize and that he thinks he should win one too. Well, what do you think, John?
Yeah, I mean, that's the reason he's like the Obama winning the Peace Prize is probably 95% of the reason Donald Trump wins a Peace Prize. I will go to my grave betting my life savings on that. That is the reasoning, right? But like, I mean, this war in like Israel, like this is bad for America. It's bad for Trump. Like, there's no one. Okay, no one is a strong word. The general view of the U.S. government is, hey, Israel, stop, please stop. And like that's what Joe Biden did for the past 4 years, not for 2, however fuck long he was president during this. And it's kind of what Trump has continued to do because it is the position of the U.S. government. They don't want to make Israel stop. God forbid they do anything to make Israel stop. They need Israel as an ally, but they also don't want all this bad press. They don't want all this pressure from American citizens. They don't want this to be so public and so bloody and so messy. It just makes everyone look bad. Trump wants to go out and say, I ended the war. I was the guy to end the war in Gaza. Like that's what he wants. And so it makes sense that Trump has been pressuring Israel to stop, and which he has been. He's been reportedly very pissed off at Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu doesn't want this war to end ever because his key to power is keeping this war going in perpetuity. So you are just in this stalemate, which is why I was surprised the ceasefire deal was even ostensibly reached, and why I'm still like, I don't really believe it until I see it actually happening. Because again, even if we were to go back to October 6th, 2023 status quo, that ain't good enough for me. It ain't good enough for anyone watching this show, unless Mark's still watching. It's not going to end all of this, but at least it's going to get the genocide headlines, out of the news. At least it's going to get the live streaming of just babies being bombed and being pulled out of rubble by their parents, or opposite, children pulling their parents out of the rubble. Like it's going to stop that. What the next step is, I have no fucking clue, TJ. They're saying they want to hand control of Gaza over to the Palestinian Authority as of right now. I'll believe that when I see it. Would love to see that. If this all goes according to plan, it's good. It's a good deal. It's a good option for us to move forward with, but I just don't see it actually happening. What do you think, Natalie?
Oh, you're Natalie.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Trump is a narcissist and a sociopath, and I think because Obama has this, he wants it. I really don't think it's much deeper than that, TJ. If Obama had won the Kraft Macaroni and Cheese Award or something, he would be trying to get that too. It just so happens that it's the Nobel Peace Prize. And a lot of people question if Obama should have won that. So I think once again, it's just like one of these things that it's a lot of dick measuring going on, at the top here. But at the end of the day, at what cost and how many lives have to be in the crossfire here. But yeah, no, none of this feels good and none of it feels right to me either. And I felt the same things that you guys said too about why are they there? Why are we going there? It's just, it's concerning. But yeah, Trump is Trump. I mean, this is just another thing to distract. And if he doesn't get it, he'll create the White House will create an AI generated time cover, magazine cover with it anyway. So it doesn't matter, And he has dementia, so they can just tell him he won.
Benjamin Netanyahu actually posted on social media a Photoshop picture of Donald Trump holding up a Nobel Peace Prize like that. So that they actually have gone down that road.
Yeah.
You know what? We should just someone should just hire someone to call President Trump and tell him he won the Peace Prize. Just tell him. Just tell him that, and that'll make him happy. If we could just set up like a fake White House, a fake Oval Office, and just have Trump pretend to be president, we'd all be better off. Like, he'd be happy. I think his brain is so far gone that it doesn't matter. But I do have to say, I think I mentioned the show a couple times. I hate to hand it to Trump, but I do find it impressive that he does the same bit every day. I wouldn't be able to do it. Like, if I were in Donald Trump's shoes and I had as much money as he did, I had a cult of people following me, I'd won 2 presidential elections, I would not get up every morning, put on the same blue suit and red tie that I wear every single day, and then go out there and speak to reporters for 45 minutes and yell. That seems tedious and boring and obnoxious. I also understand that even more than I understand Donald Trump's inability to let something go. Like with the Nobel Peace Prize for Obama, what was that, 2009? I mean, it's that long ago, and it still just sticks in this craw. There is no slight too small when it comes for Donald Trump. Like anything anyone says again, he goes at both barrels. I'm half his age, and I don't have that much energy. I don't know how he does it. I do have to admit, I find that level of pettiness and small-mindedness and the energy to go through with it. Impressive is the wrong word, but kind of shocking. Like I don't think I can will myself to do something like that.
Well, TJ, I think I have an answer for you. And I've been hesitant to say this for a while, but this week the meter has shifted over to, I believe it. I think Donald Trump definitely has dementia. I think he has some sort of severe cognitive decline going on. Because, again, there's lying for effect, right? All politicians lie. And Donald Trump, he lied a lot too. But you didn't see Donald Trump, going around saying things like, Portland is a war zone that is on fire. He's telling the American people that he is personally seeing videos of Portland being buildings engulfed in flame, people fighting in the streets. And you know what, TJ? I don't think the man is lying. I think he believes that to be true. I have gone all the way to, I think that there are people inside the Trump administration, namely Stephen Miller, Russell Vought, who are showing him videos, AI-generated videos of Portland on fire. And he believes that is real. I think he believes all of the things that he's saying about, the eating cats and dogs, like all this. I don't think it's lying for political effect. I think he genuinely, deep down in his heart of hearts, believes it because his brain is broken and the people around him are taking advantage of that fact. I think that is the case. Natalie, how crazy of a statement do you think that is?
I mean, nothing sounds crazy anymore in the era of Trump. I don't disagree to an extent. I don't even know if they have to show him videos, John. I don't even
tell him what's happening. Well, he said he had
that trouble,
right? Like he's like, I saw it on the news. I saw it here.
I think that's hyperbolic. I think it's more just like they're telling him things. They're showing American people imagery from other combat zones that aren't in the United States and then trying to convince us that this is happening in Portland, et cetera. They could just literally, like you said, be just showing him that or not even bothering because he's an idiot and he doesn't actually care as long as it helps him further distract and deflect from the Epstein files. He's going to allow whatever to occur. So, I do think he has dementia. I've thought that, though, for years. I don't think this is new. I think he had dementia well before this election cycle. I think he's recently had a stroke. I think he has serious declining health issues. But, what bothered me was, I saw that thing with Dolly Parton and her sister saying she wasn't feeling well. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. We cannot lose Dolly Parton before Donald Trump. Like, come on, universe, throw us a bone here. So I'm hanging on to that. But the reality is this man is not well. He hasn't been well. And, we've given him the keys to the kingdom now twice. So who's the real fool in this? It's the American people.
Yeah.
Natalie, I hate to break this news to you, but you can bet dollars to donuts we will lose Dolly Parton before we lose Donald Trump. I
can't take it.
Listen, Donald Trump will outlive her. He will outlive us. He will outlive everyone you know. I've gone on record several times that Donald Trump is going to live forever. If God does anything, if God has proven anything throughout human history, is that he loves rewarding evil. Like every time you open a history book, There is one fucking consistency, and that is the most evil men live forever. They die of old age, surrounded by their friends, families, loved ones, dozens of kids, with the undying adoration of everyone in their community. I see no reason for that to stop now, but I do want to address John's question of Donald Trump having dementia. And I want to play a little clip here. Does this sound like a man with dementia to you? I'll let you decide.
So think of that, 1 in 20,000, and now it's 1 in 12 for boys, 1 in 18, 19 for girls. So obviously there's something that's artificially, I think, induced, something, whether it's the vaccines in terms of these massive vaccines that are twice the size of a jar like that, of a glass of water like that, I mean, into a baby's body. And I suggest get them in doses, get them in, maybe 20%, 30%, but smaller, not such a big, I think, that, and we had certain recommendations.
Now, I don't know if you guys could all hear that, but Donald Trump mentioned that we're giving babies vaccines the size of twice the size of jars. So I don't know if I agree with you, John. That sounds like a man who is perfectly in charge of his critical faculties. I can't tell you how many mason jar-sized vaccines I've seen them put into babies' bodies. So I got to disagree with you on that one, my friend.
My favorite thing about those clips is watching Marco Rubio trying to parse what he's saying in case he's asked about it later. He's just like, okay, they got the bats. Okay, with the baby. Okay, we're gonna have to defend the bats and the babies now. Like you just see it on his face.
He's like, "This is my day. This is now my day."
Yep.
I have seen that a lot. Yeah, with Marco Rubio, that's true. I have seen that. He does seem a little weirded out all the time.
I mean, on that note, boys, I think I'm gonna have to jump off here in a few minutes. But
all right,
what a way to end it, really, talking about vaccine jars and babies. But yeah, I'll just say that too. At the end of all of this, this is going to take years for us to undo all of this damage, and the crippling impact that this has had on our public health system is so disturbing. And we really have to think as a nation moving forward, when we're going to vote for someone, to take it seriously, because I just feel like we aren't taking any of this as seriously as we need to. And there's been so much fallout because of that. So I just hope moving forward, we understand that it's, and I think this phenomenon really started with George W. Bush, this idea of wanting to have a beer with the guy that you elect, that kind of energy. And no, that has proven to be wrong time and time again. So I hope that's the larger takeaway here. But yeah, the dude is unwell.
I agree. All right, John, you want to close this out?
Thank you for being here and watching this episode of The Left Wing with our favorite guest, Natalie. Natalie, if people for some reason don't know where to find you by now, go ahead and tell them where to find you.
Yes, you can find me, unfortunately, everywhere, including Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn. I have a Substack, Facts Over Fear. I just interviewed Malcolm Kenyatta, who's a representative from Pennsylvania, yesterday or 2 days ago, and that was great. But I'm trying to do a lot of interviews over there and just some writing as well. But I also have a new show with WQED, which is the Pittsburgh affiliated PBS station. You can check it out on YouTube. It's called Destination With, and get to learn a little bit more about your immigrant neighbors and friends. And if you are into Pennsylvania politics, every week I host the Week in Focus for the Pennsylvania Capital Star, which is a nonprofit newsroom based out of Harrisburg. So go to Penn Capital Star. They've got great coverage of Pennsylvania and national news as well.
Fantastic. Natalie, thank you so much as always. Ladies and gentlemen, today's episode was brought to you by Steven Crowder. Why Steven Crowder, you ask? John and I really respect the fact that the day Charlie Kirk died, Steven Crowder's Twitter headline ranked him as the #2 conservative daily home of conservative live streamers. The day after Charlie Kirk died, he changed it to the #1 ranked conservative daily show.
Awesome.
So gotta give credit right there. That is incredible. I could not stop laughing when I saw this, and I'm sure you guys wouldn't either. But we'll catch you later. Have a good one.
Bye.
Love Steven Crowder.